Well, I understand you are the judicial assistant to the defense, but why this sudden ingress into my courtroom? Ha! A judicial assistant, and a woman, no less. The rules state that females are not permitted into this court of law other than to testify. Yes, I fully understand. I ask only for 5 minutes of time. I have some vital evidence that I must hand over to the defense. Ha! You're too late, little girl. The trial has already been concluded. 5 minutes. I will not allow a moment more. But, Your Excellency... I am most graceful. Grateful, not graceful. Who exactly are you? I'm sorry, there's no time. Please, simply accept this for now. What is it? A report about something? Written in English? It's Jezebel Brett's research. The Englishwoman's? After the trial resumed earlier, I hurried back to the university. I went to Dr. Wilson's laboratory in the medical faculty and borrowed this paper. Oh yes, that's right. Miss Brett was studying under the professor, wasn't she? So, does this research, whatever it is, have something to do with the case? I'm afraid I don't know. I haven't been able to listen to the proceedings of the trial myself. Oh, no, of course not. Special characteristics of curare and its effect on human subjects. Interesting. Curare? Time's up! The prosecution demands the immediate removal of this female trespasser from the courtroom. There was too little time for me to read it in detail, but I've summarized what I could on a note just inside the cover. If you think it could be valuable, please cast your eye over it. This is wonderful, thank you. Let me have a gander. Open that bad boy up. What we got? This is a lot of evidence for the first case. A poison made from the bark of certain trees in the jungles of South America. The hunters of the region have used it since ancient times to incapacitate their prey. Instant paralysis of the entire body and subsequent death. Okay, I thought for a second he was going to be alive, even in minute doses. Route of entry, the above-mentioned effects occur when the poison enters the body through a wound, such as that inflicted by a blowpipe dart. Huh. Due to its ability to render the human body paralytic, it is believed that the toxin could have an application as an anesthetic. However, a solution for the respiratory arrest caused as a result of the full body paralysis must be found first, or patients would die of suffocation. Goodbye then, and good luck. You have had long enough, counsel. We cannot detain our English guest any longer. I ask the prosecution and the defense now one last time. Does either side have further evidence to present to the court? I presume not, but... The prosecution has made its case convincingly enough already. Nothing more to add, Your Excellency. Ryunosuke, we're out of options. This really is our last chance. Yes, I know. Your Excellency, the defense does have new evidence. That look. The unyielding stare of a true Japanese warrior. Well, Miss Brett. Yes, Your Excellency. If you wouldn't mind, perhaps you could grace us with your presence a little longer. It's a delightful invitation, but I'm afraid it's not very long until tea time. Forgive me, Miss Brett. It seems I wasn't clear. I realize it was phrased as a question. However, I must ask you to treat that as an order. I've said it many times before, but the Japanese language makes no sense. My apologies, dear lady. Simp. So, counsel, what is this new evidence that demands the court's attention? Let me slide that bad boy over. That's not present. Present. Yes! Miss Jezebel Brett, we understand you were studying under Dr. Wilson at Ume University, doing research. Research, by sheer coincidence perhaps, into a deadly poison. What? Poison? Where are you going with this, counsel? A toxin known as curare, Your Excellency. Even the slightest amount of this deadly poison entering the body leads to instant death. What complete and utter nonsense. Curare, you say? I've never heard of it. You wouldn't have done. What do you mean? I mean that you wouldn't have heard of curare before for one simple reason. It doesn't exist in our country. It doesn't exist. Correct. Which means, no matter what tests the police can do for toxins, they'd never identify curare. Why? Because there is no test available here that can identify the presence of this deadly poison. Miss Brett! Would you like to have a drink of the water? Order, order, order. Council, does this deadly weapon truly exist? According to this report authored by the visiting research student from England, curare has been long used by the tribespeople of South America as a poison to lace their arrows. It seems that it's reasonably well known among European doctors and scientists. To lace their arrows? The report states that it's produced from the extract of a tree that grows deep in the Amazonian jungle, and it was first brought back to England at the turn of the century by explorers. It claims that animals shot by arrow laced with curare suffer instant death. Doesn't that about sum it up, Miss Brett? Trumpery? These aspersions are utter trumpery. Okay. To start with, if the victim had been administered some of this so-called deadly poison, he would have been squirming and writhing in pain, and the other diners would have noticed. That's true. What do you say to that, Inspector? Obviously, I would have noticed a disturbance like that. I don't remember anything like that either. Yeah, I mean, it might just not do that. According to this, however, it's the other way around. What do you mean, the other way around? The very fact the victim didn't show any visible signs of distress is evidence that curare was used. Explain yourself, Counsel. The moment this toxin enters a person's system, it causes instant paralysis. In other words, afflicted victims lose all strength and are completely unable to move. Even if they were in total agony, there would be no visible signs of pain at all. How terrible! Obviously, if a man lost all strength in his muscles, he'd collapse on the floor. But with a chair under him for support, as Dr. Wilson did, the effects could go largely unnoticed. But I don't follow, Kazuma. That's just paralysis. I thought the poison caused instant death. Yes, because you suffocate. The full explanation is extremely unpleasant. The poison causes immediate paralysis, as I said, leaving the victim unable to move. But after a short time, the paralysis is so severe it causes the muscles that control the respiration to fail. Respiration? In other words, the actual cause of death is suffocation. Because, and all the while, the victim is conscious and aware, just unable to move. That's hideous! To the observer, it would look almost like the victim was slipping peacefully into an endless sleep. But for the victim himself, his final moments would be living hell. That is the true nature of this deadly curare poison. And you're suggesting that this bottle, Counsel, actually contains this poison? This is all very convenient, isn't it? A hitherto unknown poison for which there is no means of testing. What a happy tale for the defense. Ahem, if I may. All these facts, you think you're so clever, but you must be taught. It is you who must be taught. Of course, my queen. So, this is how you Japanese behave, is it? What? You steal another's honest hard work and then announce the results as if you discovered them. I'm appalled. What a loathsome act. It's what we do best in England, actually, I'll have you know. Well, Miss Brett, the feeling is mutual. Whatever do you mean? Capitalizing on the unfortunate circumstances of an innocent man to frame him for a heinous crime? That really is a loathsome act. Wouldn't you agree? Enough of this. I, for one, refuse to accept it. The idea of some poison that doesn't even exist in the great empire of Japan is breaking the rules. Ha 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 ha. What's so funny? Oh, excuse me, Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Brett? May I borrow that bottle for a moment, please? Oh, she's gonna drink it? I don't see, why not? Don't get too big for your boots, you significant little island boys. Sorry. To an Englishwoman such as myself, this whole affair is a farcical comedy. Your little police games and these foolish courtroom antics, it's laughable, really. But I'm getting bored of it all now. It's time for the games to end. Cheers. I'm going back to it was the glass she took again. Wait, what are you doing? No sparkle left at all. How appropriate for this shabby affair. Goodness! Whatever is the matter? You all look quite stunned. So, no curare. The bottle was clean. Is that what you're saying? You look quite incredulous, little boy. But of course, that's the simple truth. Thank you for presenting the findings of my research so concisely here in this grand venue. Most kind. Thank you, waiter. Now then, Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Brett. I would like to be excused now, please. I think I've given more than enough of my time for the furtherance of friendship between our countries. Yes, dear lady. We are most gratified with all the assistance you have given us. This doesn't make any sense. There has to be poison in that bottle. So how did she swallow a whole glass and live to tell the tale? I don't understand it. Well, I suppose, if nothing else, this little Far Eastern charade will make for interesting conversation at the next party I attend in London. There has to have been poison in that bottle, doesn't there? But there can't have been, because otherwise she would have keeled over. Come on, Ryunosuke, we have all the clues now. That bottle of water contains no poison. As I thought, there is no poison in that bottle. What? Why? Isn't it obvious? If there was poison in there, she'd be dead by now. Sometimes your unadulterated naivety really astonishes me, but sometimes it's in need of a good staining, until it's as dark as the uniform in the ways of the world. Oh, is that what color is supposed to represent? Alright, I wanted to slam that on. It was the I wanted to slam it down with it was the glass, but I guess not. How are we going to explain that there was poison in it? The culprit did put curare poison into Dr. Wilson's carbonated water. The defense refuses to change its position. You're serious? Fool! Are you blind? There's no possible way that bottle could contain poison. I mean, we just saw Miss Brett drinking the water from it. That's right, which rather complicates your argument, I think. I believe that complication can be explained. How, exactly? I need to think through all the pieces that don't quite add up here, one by one. I'm sure the answer is in the evidence we have in the court record. It has to be. Very well, if the defense truly intends to assert this claim, then I must ask you to support this assertion with evidence. We're gonna go with... it's this picture I want, yes.
Yes!
It seems the defense, or should I say the wretched accused. Okay, it's not that. You're making this complication more complicated than it needs to be. Alright, I'll do my best. Alright, if it's not the glass she took, what is it? No, I have it. It didn't kill her. Because it needs to enter through a wound. The doctor just had his tooth removed. It went in through the missing tooth.
Yes!
Okay, fine. I'll go fuck myself, I suppose. Do you want me to show the book? Is that... Like, how do you want me to present this information? Show the book again?
Yes!
The answer to this riddle is right here. Okay. Thank you. That is not a valid explanation. No. After all, we don't speak English. That report is utter gibberish. This impudent young scoundrel is trying to ridicule the court, Your Excellency. I'm not trying to ridicule anyone, honest. I'm just reading Susato-san's notes. I concur. This report is too extensive to be considered in its entirety by the report. You will direct us to the pertinent section, Counsel. Which section? It's the... Well... What would you classify that part as, exactly? The special app characteristics? Route... Yeah, special characteristics. Okay. We've been hearing a lot about this curare poison. And it's left me curious about something. Oh, Counsel? Well, it sounds as though indigenous hunters have been using this for years and years to lace the heads of their arrows as they shoot whatever they're hunting. So we've been led to believe, yes. And the point of hunting is to catch prey to eat. Get to the point, please. But if they were able to use these laced arrows, doesn't that mean there would be traces of poison left in the prey the hunters were going to eat? Yes, good point. So surely the hunters wouldn't want to eat their prey, would they? Because then they'd be eating poison. Good gracious, Counsel. No, that would be madness. But I actually found the answer to that conundrum. This research paper here. Under special characteristics, it says this. The poison starts to work after entering the body through a wound. Through a wound, you say? I see, that makes sense. Yes, the mention of that particular detail seemed a little strange to me, though. But it all makes sense when you interpret what's written like this. When curare enters the body through an open wound, it has terrifying poisonous effects. However, when it enters the body via the mouth, it has no poisonous effects. What? Miss Brett, you authored this research. You know curare's special characteristics. And you knew that you could make a spectacle of drinking that water without danger. You meddling little... Oh my god, the swan's alive! Rapscallion. Well, are you? It turns out... you're an even better lawyer than I thought you'd be. Really? Me? A lawyer? All this poison talk is fascinating, I'm sure, but I fail to see how it's possible. Hello, my son. So, the ill-bred little puppy has a new toy to play with, some facts he read in a book. But I'm afraid knowledge doesn't suit you, little boy. Goodbye, my son. Just as soon as he arrives, he departs. What are you trying to say? Your schoolboyish logic has a fatal flaw. Schoolboyish? Flaw. As even your brain has managed to deduce curare is safe to ingest, it seems like that special effects are neutralized by the acidic nature of our gastric succus. Suck. Yes, well, of course. Gastric suckers? What are they? So if this lethal poison is completely harmless when drank, the professor wouldn't have died when he swallowed it, would he? Yeah, I'm already 2 steps ahead of you. That's right. I didn't think about the intervening step of the poison affecting the hunters that were using it. I skipped that step. Went straight to it went in through the tooth. Good gracious. That's basic science. Science that even a schoolboy should be able to understand. No. Order, order, order. The logic holds. If the lady and the professor drank the same poison, they would be affected in the same way. Are you trying to suggest... Yes, this curare poison is completely irrelevant. That's right. Surely even a little cockroach like you could understand something as simple as that. Yo, look how big her mask has gotten. What is this welling up inside me? I've never felt like this before. It's sort of conviction to break down all the discrepancies. It's so intense, almost rage-like. And more than anything else, it's an animalistic desire to take down my prey.
Objection!
Oh, fuck. I don't think so, Miss Jezebel Brett. How dare you use that tone with me? You know very well there is no fatal flaw here. You know exactly why, even though both you and the victim swallowed the same poison, you are alive, but Dr. Wilson is dead. Counsel, I'm sure I don't need to remind you, you must provide evidence, as we now know the poison is completely harmless when ingested. It's this.
Take that!
As Miss Brett so readily pointed out, she drank the same water as the professor. However, there was a fundamental and fatal difference between the two diners. A fatal difference. The toxic effects of curare are only felt when the poison enters through an open wound. So, for a healthy person with no injuries, drinking it is completely harmless. But what if there was a wound inside the mouth of the person drinking the water? Inside? Yes, like the wound you might have if you had just been to the dentist and had a tooth extracted, for example. Ah! Miss Brett, you've acknowledged many times in your testimony already that you were well aware of Dr. Wilson's dental appointment that day. Ah! So that's it. You used that knowledge to orchestrate this. Ha ha. Is she laughing? I don't like to repeat myself, but honestly, I can't resist. These childish courtroom games and your half-baked arguments are all so puerile. What do you mean? Don't worry, little schoolboy, you'll find out soon enough. You see, when you leave vital evidence lying around, you never know what might happen to it. No. I mean, it could just slip. Okay. Oh dear, how careless of me. I'm afraid some crucial evidence may have just tragically been destroyed. What exactly is this, like... I refuse to accept this as even being a reasonable response. Collect up as much of the water from that broken bottle as possible at once. You're wasting your time. That delightful carpet under my feet here was a gift from the British Empire. I assure you it will soak up the water beautifully. You have neither the technology nor the presence of mind to recover it. Ha, ha, ha. What about the water in the glass at the crime scene? If my man likes perfection, did he collect the glass that still had water? You won't get away with this. Though I do just refuse to accept this as even being remotely reasonable to see her do that and then go, oh yeah, it's not her. You can thump the bench and shout as much as you like, but I'm afraid we'll never know now, will we? If there really was poison in that bottle or not. You. And let us not forget, we still have some very compelling evidence left intact. Isn't that right, counsel, for the prosecution? Oh, of course, of course. You're referring to this photographic print, I presume. That's right, and really, looking at this photograph, it's as clear as day, isn't it? The poor professor was sitting with his back to me, so of course the only person who could have shot him from the front is the little schoolboy. No, you killed the victim that day, using curare, and then in order to frame Ryunosuke Haruda. You waited until he picked up the pistol you'd arranged for him to find on the floor before you shot the professor's dead body in the chest with your hidden gun. Then, in the confusion that followed, all you had to do was turn the dead professor in his chair around. You see, you had every opportunity to commit this crime. What a wonderful imagination you have, young man. A hideous hidden gun, you say, and I shot the professor's dead body, did I? Well, I'm terribly sorry, but you don't have a shred of evidence. Exactly. And as you have nothing to support your wild claims, the prosecution's stance remains unchanged. The victim, Dr. John H. Wilson, was killed by a gunshot to the chest. And delivered in cold blood by the accused Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Ugh. This is unbelievable. How can this be happening? We had her, but now, is she really going to get away with it? The way she destroyed the evidence was obscene. Yes, it was, wasn't it? Ryunosuke, yes, we've come this far, but now you're the only one who can finish it. What? What do you mean? We've lost a vital piece of evidence, it's true. So if there are any clues left for us to use now, they must be in your head. In my head. You told me before that your powers of observation are the one thing you could really depend on. Well, yes, that's true, but I didn't really manage to notice... But I didn't manage to notice that this woman was a foreigner with a swan on her head. So think back again. Try to remember every last detail about the scene that day. Everything you saw, everything you felt, every color, every smell. What I saw, what I felt... Every color. Is Kazuma right? Somewhere in the vibrant memory of the scene in my head, could there be another clue to expose the identity? There's a clue. Actually, Kazuma, I think I might have something. Thinking back over everything I saw, I think I might have uncovered another clue. Haha, you always have something up your sleeve, don't you, Ryunosuke? Come on then, let's wipe that smug smile off that Englishwoman's face with some evidence. Alright, I can't wait. It's been niggling me for a while that something feels amiss in my memories of that day. Whatever it is could be the key to arriving at the truth about all this. It's somewhere here. The clue that shows Dr. Wilson... I mean... The blood.
Take that!
Inspector Hosonaga, answer me this. Yes? What is it? Ugh, he's still miles away. Probably thinking about that bottle being smashed. As you've said a number of times now, you strive for perfection in your investigations, don't you? Absolutely. I wonder, therefore, if perhaps you took anything else from the scene of the crime. Like, for instance, the plate of steak that you took to the victim's table.
Attention!
Wait a minute. Where are you going with this, little boy? It's just a memory that's been troubling me. What memory? I saw the scene shown in this photographic print with my own eyes that day. And I saw that on the wooden base of that plate the steak was served on, there was spattering of blood. What? Oh, really? And what of it? Obviously, that must have happened when you shot the professor. No, that can't be the case. Take a good look at the photograph and the relative position of everything there. The plate of steak is almost directly behind the victim. If I'm supposed to have shot Dr. Wilson in the chest from the front, there's no way that blood from the victim could have ended up directly behind him. Ah! Yes. For blood to have made it onto the plate, it implies the plate was between the victim and the shooter. Which means the shooter must have been sitting opposite the professor, as you were. Jezebel Brett. I beg your pardon. This is beyond ridiculous. Fabricated nonsense. Is the court seriously expected to believe something like the accused has apparently just remembered seeing? This could be the moment that my entire career in the police force has been leading to. Inspector? You mean... Yes, I took the plate in the interest of preserving evidence from the scene of the crime. I took it, meat and all, and I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief because of it. You did what? I took the steak that you had been eating, Miss Brett. I took the steak that the sergeant had been eating. And I did it all in the name of justice. Then we can find out for sure whether or not there's a blood stain on Miss Brett's plate. We must examine it now. Inspector, the court wishes to examine the plate from the victim's table immediately. Yes, sir. Sorry for the delay. Here is what you ordered, the steak. Well, what about the blood? Is there blood on it? Of course there isn't. Quickly, Inspector, the blood man. Show the court. Of course. Examine the plate at your leisure. No, no blood. No blood anywhere. But no, that's impossible. Let my man clean the blood off. I know I saw it. I'm sure of it. It was right on the table behind the professor. There was blood on the side of the plate. Heh heh. What an unbecoming expression, little boy. You see, this is why I always say you can't trust what the Japanese tell you. Alright, buddy. Tisk, I couldn't agree more. This in the case of this disgrace to the Empire. Dog, I believe we may have finally reached a conclusion in this trial. Let's hope so. Then this let's pretend attempt to courtroom proceedings is painful to watch. But I do promise to do my best to forget all about it when it's over. This sorry-looking steak reveals the facts all too clearly. If the sorry-looking accused wishes to examine it again, be my guest. Was the plate I saw, or thought I saw, just a figment of my imagination? Let me have a gander. What we got? What we got on here? We got some steak is what we got right here. It's the fucking coin from the old man. Huh? What in the world is this? I think it's a Koban coin. And the hallmark is from the Hoei era, I believe. No, I don't mean what is it. I mean, what's it doing there? That's an excellent question. Wait, did you say it was a Hoei Koban? Yes, and apart from the meat juices, it looks to be in good condition. I imagine it's very valuable. This isn't the first time there's been talk of a Hoei Koban. I've heard of pearls before swine, but I've never heard of bullion in Okay. I don't think you ever will again. This is extraordinary, though. This means... I certainly never expected to find a precious coin underneath this thick cut of meat. And it's from the Hoei era, too. It's well marinated in juices as well, look. What are you thinking? What, are you thinking of eating it? No, but the next time I order a steak in an expensive restaurant, one thing's for sure. My heart's going to be racing as I lift up the meat and peer underneath for a prize. I think you might have the wrong end of the stick about this, Ryu. Koban, They switch tables, right? Has to be that. Makes sense, we have to use the sketch of the courtroom, or the sketch of the restaurant at some point. Was the plate I saw. This is it now. I've lost. Ryunosuke. It's not over yet. Not until the final gavel. Never stop believing in yourself. Keep looking forward no matter what. Believe in myself. Really? I did so. Has not been shown to be problematic in any way, I presume. No. Yes, the defense very much has an objection. Yes, there's another clue. Your Excellency, please wait. This plate of beef is hiding another clue. Another clue that will reveal the shocking truth. The only thing that's shocking here is your unhealthy fascination with beef. Your Excellency, I think I've made myself clear, haven't I? I will not be able to turn a blind eye to any more procrastination in this trial. I'm sorry, Miss Brett, but we must ensure a thorough examination of the evidence. I will not give a ruling until I'm completely satisfied all reasonable doubt has been dispelled. I see. As a newly affirmed ally of my country, that's still your position, is it? Thank you, Your Excellency. Counsel for the defense, you will now clearly show the court what you are alluding. Lift that bad boy. Huh? What in the world is this? It's a Koban coin. We did this already. Oh wait, I'm not pushing present, aren't I? Nope, I clicked on it again. See, I keep thinking you can just double click on it, but that's not how it is. Good gracious, that's... a Kaban? What on earth? A Hoei era one at that. Miss Brett, this is in fact the beefsteak you ordered at the restaurant in that day in question, is it? Tell me, why is there an old coin, seemingly hidden underneath the meat? What a ridiculous question. How should I know? I've never seen that thing before in my life. I don't know what it is, but I want no part of it. I fail to see how this is relevant. A coin under the meat? That could simply have been a careless mistake by the chef in a moment of distraction. Clearly not. Don't be absurd. We're supposed to believe that this happened by accident in the kitchen. A rare Hoei Kaban just happens to be underneath that piece of steak. If it turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll rip up my ticket to Great Britain right now. He's right. It can't be a coincidence. Your Excellency. Yes, Counsel. A rare Hoei Kaban just happens to be hidden underneath that piece of steak. If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll give up my lawyer job right now. You're not a lawyer. By all means, don't let us stop you. No one invited you anyway. Perhaps, little boy, you should realize that who you are is irrelevant, even though I'm the one on trial here. The point is, it's essential that we ask the owner of this coin if he can explain what it's doing under that steak. The owner? Yes, it's obvious. There's only one person it can belong to. I'm a little insulted you're even going to ask me this question, to be honest with you.
Take that!
Obviously, it could only be the antiques dealer and owner of Resute, Kiryu Kurakata-san. Kiryu? As in Mr. Cucumber something? Honestly, these ridiculous Japanese names are quite unfathomable. Ah, yes. The old man who testified earlier alongside the military sergeant, correct? Yes, Your Excellency. I remember him saying that he was up to something with his Kaban coin when it happened, at exactly the moment the gun was fired. The gunshot interested me not. I was too busy on the floor. Too busy on the floor? Sorry, what were you doing? Hunting for treasure. Indeed, the Hoei era Kaban, my prized coin. Didn't this Hoei era Kaban? Do you mean to tell me? No, please. Why would Kurasata-san's Kaban be sandwiched between the victim's beefsteak and its plate? It makes no sense. Which is why I'm asking to bring Kurakata-san back to the witness stand so we can ask him. Officer, bring both witnesses that testified earlier back in here, without a moment's delay. For the tutorial case, this is really fucking involved. I can't believe we've come back around to that pair again. But I have a hunch, a strong hunch, that if we chase down the real significance of this Kaban, that we'll find it's a key element in the case. Jesus Christ, dude, what a journey. thought I was going to get to be continued again. Thank goodness we didn't. Yo, this stand is elongating. What's this all about? Why have I been called up again? Don't you realize that it's dinner time for little baby Ido? When my son's belly is empty, he's fiercer than a pack of wolves. Exploited by the police, we were, like miserable dogs, forced to bear false witness. And when cast from this courtroom myself, I became a ruined man in a trice, a worthless, withered antique. Nothing more have I to say. The sun has set on this restaurant shop owner's existence. Be that as it may, you overdramatic cunt, something has come to light that requires your clarification. As far as your restaurant memory serves, have you ever seen this caban? Wow! Oh no! Yes, that's it. The one. The very exact one. That is it. The resplendent, splendiferous Hoey treasure that my rusty bones managed to misplace that fateful day. It can't be. As I thought. Young man, enlighten this decrepit old fool, put me out of my misery. Where was my treasure? Where was it dropped? Oh, I'm not sure if it was dropped anywhere. We found your coin sandwiched between a beefsteak and its plate, soaking in the seasoned meat's juices. Sandwiched? Soaking? Seriously? Clearly, it couldn't have fallen there by accident. Which means somebody must have hidden it there on purpose. Somebody concealed my Hoey treasure between a slab of meat and a metal plate. Who would do such a thing? Such an unconscionable thing. Excuse me. Could I say something? Yes, of course. Proceed, Inspector Hosonaga. I mentioned this earlier in the trial, but I was working undercover in the restaurant in order to investigate another case. Ah, yes, that's right, the secret undercover operation. Le Carnival is a high-class Western cuisine restaurant. It attracts wealthy diners, including many foreigners. Recently, there's been a run of similarly executed thefts targeting the restaurant's rich clientele. A number of such incidents have been reported to the police bureau. Wicked crimes indeed. We wanted to nip the case in the bud quickly, especially with so many foreigners affected. So that's why you were sent in undercover, is it? Yes, I took on the job of waiter at the restaurant in order to flush out the criminal. It seems likely that this caban incident is the work of the same thief. So unbeknownst to us, there was a master thief at work in the restaurant on a regular basis. The place was already the scene of several crimes, it seems. I don't know about the master thief part, but the identity of the person who stole and hid the Kurikata-san's caban is all too clear. What? What? I think the court would like to hear the defense's view on this matter. Tell us who the despicable scoundrel is. I mean, we have exactly two options. We've got Wilson, and we've got Jezebel. Suddenly, this thief's mask, you know?
Take that!
Yes. Seems like a likely candidate for a caban thief. No! Okay, fine. I'll go fuck myself. Alright. What? Who then? Alright, so let's go through... We know it's not her, because apparently I can go fuck myself. Look, it just seems weird for Wilson to be the one that's doing it. The professor, or not the professor, the inspector, surely not. Like, wouldn't he have removed the coin before he brought it back if it was him that was stealing it, and he got put there to try and find the thief? So it's Kurikata? Or Nosa? No, but, like, why, though, right? Is it the inspector? I mean, I'm just upset it's not her, to be perfectly honest with you. So... The inspector?
Take that!
Yeah, okay, I'll be fucking myself, even more then. Alright. I'll be honest, I just, yeah, guilty. I'll be honest, I'm not sure the steps that were necessary to go through to get this stake there. Or to get that coin under the stake, to be honest with you. Try from this scene, yes please. Maybe it's not Nosa, maybe it's the baby. I had thought the baby might have snatched it earlier and just, like, tossed it away. I don't want to just, like, brute force the answer, you know? Well, there's only, like, 3 choices left, right? Because it's not her, it's not the inspector, it's clearly not any of these people, or her. So the remaining possibilities are Professor, Noisa, and Curio. Curio. And he seems probably the most likely. Unless it was the baby. I mean, my man's selling if he's selling antiques, you know, maybe he's stealing them back again. Fuck, man. But then why would he be so surprised it was under the stake? Alright, I'm gonna go with it was not him, but the baby? No, because the baby, like, didn't toss it under the fucking stake, did they? So, like, you know, like, alright. It was my man?
Take that!
It was my man, we did it. It could only be you. Sergeant Iaso Nosa. What? How? How dare you? You monster. Monster? I stole that kaban, did I? I'm the master thief of the Carnival, am I? You seriously accusing me of these crimes, cadet? But it wasn't me, it was Ido. Fucking... Ido is the mastermind. Yeah, we're all in agreement. You would push the blame for your crimes on your own son, an innocent little baby? It's you who's the monster, Sergeant Nosa. The baby is actually an 80-year-old man. Ugh. What the fuck is going on? No. Nippon Imperial Army, Sergeant Iosa, preparing to stand down in the Supreme Court, sir. Do any of you know of the extraordinarily low wages that the Nippon Imperial Army pays to those that it expects to keep its country safe? I understand that a temporary increase in taxation owing to the recently ended conflicts remains in place, and I have heard it's hard for lower-ranking soldiers to make a living, yes. All I want is to put a hot meal on the table for my son. That's why you were stealing things at the restaurant? The place is heaving with money. Every 3 days I'd go there and do reconnaissance for a target. And I'd enjoy chomping my way through a good steak at the same time. It sounds like he doesn't bother with a knife and fork even, which is worryingly believable. And your target that day was the old man and his kaban. Yes, sir. He was an easy mark. I slipped the coin into my pocket without any trouble at all. A veritable phantom thief you are. I was all set to leave the steak I was halfway through devouring when it happened. Yes, when the professor was shot. I knew that if the police conducted a search and found a coin in my pocket, I'd be finished. Ido, too. So I hid the incriminating evidence as fast as I could, on the double. I slipped it under the steak, hoping that I'd be able to rendezvous with it again at a later date. So, yes, their tables were switched. This is ridiculous. Perhaps you could carry on with this absurd prattling in your own time. Well, Miss Brett. Of course, dear lady. Of course. How rude of us. Simp! I'm quite sure there's no need to detain you any longer at all. May the esteemed gentlewoman please be excused, Your Excellency. Indeed. The theft of the caban was clearly perpetrated by this baby-saddled sergeant. It would certainly appear to be unrelated to Dr. Wilson's murder. Of course it is. Hiding a coin under a lump of meat. The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. Nonsense, is it? Well, oof. And as for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense, it's pure madness. Very well. Now that all the questions have been answered, I see no further justification for detaining her. Miss Brett, you are free to leave. Thank you, Your Excellency. Good luck, everyone. Object! And good day. Objection! Ryunosuke, what's the matter with you? This is no time for daydreaming. Oh, no, it's just... something about Miss Brett's parting words there got me thinking. I can't quite work out what exactly, but something she just said jarred me. I feel like there was a contradiction in there somewhere, something that didn't quite add up. If that's the case, don't just stand there thinking, make your voice heard. Sorry. You can think later, but if you don't call out now, it'll be too late. The trial will be over.
Hold it!
Wait, Miss Brett. What is it now? I'm afraid, just one last time, there's something I'd like to ask you. I'd like you to explain the contradiction in your parting words from just a few moments ago. What are you talking about? What contradiction? What new student nonsense is this? Well, what parting words are you talking about, Ryunosuke? Hiding a coin under a lump of meat, that sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. And as for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense, it's pure madness. Yes, I'm right. What she said there exposed an undeniable contradiction. I'm going to need to see evidence, counsel. If Miss Brett's... Alright, what are we going with on that one exactly? I mean, there's a knife and fork there. This has clearly had bites taken out of it. It's not been cut with a knife and fork. I did not mean to do this. I meant to present the steak itself as the evidence. Please return me. Present. Oh no, I don't present it from here, of course.
Take that!
The steak that Miss Brett had been eating before the professor was killed? Yes, go on. More accurately, Your Excellency. The steak that was on the victim's table just before the professor was killed. Now you're just splitting hairs. Not true. Doesn't something about this steak strike you as unnatural? Unnatural? What on earth do you mean? It's extremely obvious. I'm talking about the shape of the edge where it's been eaten. I see you've noticed it too, Miss Brett. Noticed what exactly, counsel? Just a few moments ago, Miss Brett claimed no Englishman would even contemplate picking up a steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork. Of course she did. She's a refined English gentlewoman herself. Then take a look at this steak. In particular, the edge where it's been eaten. As you can see, there are clearly defined barbaric teeth marks there. Ah! Ah! It looks like Miss Brett has realized something. So, if the witness, as she claims, wouldn't contemplate eating anything without using a knife and fork, there shouldn't be teeth marks in the steak at all. But what is your actual point? Perhaps the delightful Miss Brett was ravenously hungry. Oh, whatever you say, dear lady. As I said, I really must be leaving now. Afternoon tea with the Minister of Justice cannot possibly wait any longer. Of course. This will all be over in the blink of an eye, rest assured. I've heard enough. You irritating little bespectacled samurai relic. Of course. My queen. What's the matter, Miss Brett? Have we ruffled your feathers? Clearly, the witness knows what this means. She's realized the catastrophic implication these teeth marks in the stake have for her. Ryunosuke, do you know where you're going with this? Yes, now at last, it all comes together. The mystery teeth marks in a steak that had allegedly been eaten with cutlery. The reason why the blood stain I know I saw somehow seems to have disappeared. And most importantly, the evidence that proves once and for all that who shot Dr. Wilson that day. I accept that these teeth marks in the steak are a little unnatural, as you put it, Counsel. But what exactly are you suggesting that tells us? Everything, Your Excellency. Everything? Yes, I believe that these barbaric teeth marks in the steak here amount to conclusive evidence in this case. Evidence that will prove beyond any doubt who shot Dr. Wilson. Conclusive evidence? How many times have I heard that today? You wouldn't know the meaning of the phrase, typical Japanese empty threats. How can you be so sure? Oh, it's quite simple. If you really had such conclusive evidence, you would have presented it to the court long ago. Actually, the evidence I'm talking about hasn't been brought before the court yet. Hasn't been? What? But just because it hasn't been shown yet, doesn't mean that the evidence does not exist. This is absurd. The trial has run several hours already, and you say there's evidence yet to be brought forward? This can't be. I don't believe you have it. I don't, but there is someone who does have it. Someone in this very courtroom. And if that person is willing to submit that piece of evidence I'm referring to, it will solve every remaining mystery about this case. Very well. I have a feeling this will be my last request of the defense in this trial. Who possesses the conclusive evidence? Well, it's my man, right?
Take that!
The answer is obvious. It's Inspector Hosonaga. What? I have it? Yes. You think I'd been withholding conclusive evidence? That's ridiculous. No, I'm not saying that. Everyone's attention has been focused on this steak with the teeth marks. Yes. Now, earlier this afternoon, Sergeant Nosa told the court the following. I'd enjoy chomping my way through a good steak. And, as well as admitting to stealing Kurakata-san's coin, he told us that he slipped it under the steak. You watch it, cadet. I'm a superior officer. Sergeant Nosa, could you please confirm something for me? Was the steak you put the coin under, in fact, your own steak? Tension. Affirmative, of course. I might be a soldier in the Imperial Nippon Army, but still. I'm not brave enough to ask a foreign gentle lady if she'd mind me manhandling her meal to hide something in it. In other words, the steak the detective submitted as evidence earlier was in fact Sergeant Nosa's meal. But that makes no sense. That plate was taken from the victim's table. Yet the gentlewoman who doesn't take bites out of her steak, nor does she have any opportunity to steal the coin. Of course I didn't steal it. To even suggest such a thing would be an affront to the entire British Empire. Well then, how do you explain this paradox? Exactly. Surely you're not going to suggest that the sergeant switched the two steaks over. You did switch the plates. Well, after it happened, when I saw the civilian had been murdered right in front of my eyes like that, I panicked. And as I said, I immediately lifted my steak and hid the coin underneath it. But then when the waiter announced he was an undercover policeman, I thought I'd had it. If he decided to investigate my slab of meat, that'd be it. I'd be getting my marching orders. So when the cadet here was arrested and taken off to the kitchen, I seized my chance. With military precision and timing, I switched my steak with the one on the foreign lady's table. What? You can't have. I never saw you do such a thing. It was called Operation Lightning Bolt. There was no time for strategic planning. It was do or die, I tell you. So yes, I did what I had to do. Unbelievable. See, I thought there was a confusion on which table he was sat at, but no, that makes more sense. This is an easier thing to set up. However, fear not, Prosecutor-san. What now? I swear on the brass buttons of the uniform. That's all I did, sir. All you did? That's plenty.
Yes!
So, if Sergeant Nosa switched the plates over, then it means he took Miss Brett's steak and the plate it was on back to his own table. Yes, that follows. Inspector Hosonaga? Yes. Earlier in this trial, you told the court this. You said that you had not only taken Miss Brett's steak after the incident, but also the sergeant's. That to preserve evidence, you had taken both. Ah! That's correct. Then please present it to the court now. That plate that was actually on the victim's table at the precise moment he was shot. What can that possibly tell us now? I mean, a cold slab of tough meat, it can't possibly have the slightest bearing on this case. No, you're not wriggling your way out of it this time, lady. I beg your pardon? Surely you're not that forgetful. Surely you remember the reason why this steak pan promises to prove to be such a problem. You're the ones who decided it was a problem, not me. The reason the defense asked to see that plate was to confirm something the defendant remembers seeing. Thinks he remembers. I'm quite sure of what I saw, Miss Brett. On the side of the plate that was at the table directly behind Mr. Wilson, there was clear splattering of blood from the gunshot wound to the victim's chest. I believe the defendant's memory serves him well. And now we have the evidence to prove it. The plate that you were eating from, Miss Brett. Let us not prolong this any further. Inspector, you will show the evidence to the court. Present the beefsteak and plate that it was originally on the victim's table at the time of the incident. Yes, sir. Sorry for keeping you. We did it, team! Here is the other steak in its plate. Please feel free to examine it. The blood stain. It's clearly visible.
Yes!
Look. Now, this makes everything clear. The blood you can see on the side of the plate shows that the moment the victim was shot, he was facing the table with his back to me. In other words, it's impossible for Naruhodo to have shot the victim. Ah! It can't be. In fact, there's only one person who could possibly have shot Dr. Wilson from the front. I'm sure everyone knows by now who that person is. Ugh. That's right, Miss Jezebel Brett. It's you. Outdone by a Japanese? Me by a Japanese schoolboy? No, no, no. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, Jesus Christ. How many chickens you got in there? Oh. Oh, fuck. There she goes. What the fuck was that? Please excuse my little outburst, I briefly lost my composure. Most unbecoming behavior for an English gentlewoman. Forgive me. Well, Miss Brett, I think it's time you told the court what actually happened that day. The truth, this time. Gladly, Your Excellency. It was I who took the professor's life using Curie. As you surmised, I chose that particular day for one very important reason. The professor had a dental appointment for the extraction of one of his teeth in the morning. So you planned to kill the professor, knowing that no trace of poison would be found in his water, because curare is unheard of in Japan. Yes. Of course, I never intended to remain at the restaurant for as long as I did. I only needed to see the professor take one tiny sip of his water and it would have all been over. I would place the steak I had ordered in front of him to make it appear as though he had been eating alone, and leave immediately. However, before any of that happened, there was an unexpected visitor at the professor's table. That would be me, I suppose. Yes, you. Who else? Such a trifling matter, but the fact that you decided to come over to greet the professor meant that I had lost my chance to slip away unnoticed. In due course, the professor took a sip of his water and was paralyzed. I made sure he was sitting in his chair such that he wouldn't fall. There was no going back at that point, so I concocted a plan on the spur of the moment. A plan to pin Dr. Wilson's murder on this innocent man. I happened to know that the professor always carried a gun. I decided to use that fact to my advantage. I had the bottle of curare in my handbag, and my own pistol concealed under my skirt. What a shocker. Under your skirt? So I was right, there were two guns. Yes. And then I finished my coffee and got up to leave. That's when I noticed the professor's gun, which you had presumably placed on the floor, placed where you were sure I would notice it. And everything went according to plan. You noticed the gun, as I'd intended. And then, just as you bent down to pick it up, that's when you shot the professor with your own gun, even though at that point he was already dead. Naturally, the gunshot caused a commotion, at which point the waiter appeared. Obviously, I had assumed Naruhodo-san was the culprit and apprehended him. I took him to the pantry that adjoins the kitchen and locked him inside. That's when I took the opportunity to turn the professor and his chair around. Because, of course, you needed to make it look like the defendant had shot Dr. Wilson from where he'd picked up the gun. So there you have it. That is the entirety of my misdemeanor. Your Excellency. Yes. I wonder. Might I speak with you in private later? I shall call on you. Thank you. Good day then, everyone. She's gonna get away scot-free, isn't she? I hope you can forgive me, Naruhodo-san. Oh, she's dead. The ghost fades away. It would seem this trial has finally run its course. I presume the prosecution is in agreement. This can't be. Taketsuchi Ouchi does not lose. Not to the likes of this rookie student. You'd better start getting used to tough opposition. Ah! Ryunosuke Naruhodo. What? Yeah? This insult to the Ouchi family name will never be forgotten. You've become conceited with age, Council, but the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that. Get fucked. 1,000 millennia may pass, and still the Aochi clan will never measure up to the Naruhodo clan. This trial in the Supreme Court of Japan will, I believe, go down in history as the start of a new chapter in our country's judicial system. Despite being summoned as the accused, you, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, presented an excellent case. Thank you, Your Excellency. The use of evidence and deduction to unravel the truth is a modern methodology. After all, it has only been a few short decades since our country opened its doors to the wider world. But the Western idea of science are rapidly gaining acceptance here. I feel sure that science will soon bring new methods of investigation and new procedures of justice. A new future of law awaits, but what it would look like, I cannot begin to imagine. That is for the young to pursue. Kazuma Asogi? Yes. After this trial, you are set to embark on a journey of discovery to the illustrious British Empire. Learn all you can, absorb everything of the wider world that you are able to. And do not forget to fulfill the mission imposed upon you. I understand, Your Excellency. What was that about? Why do you look so grave all of a sudden? Never mind. As for you, Ryunosuke Naruhodo... Oh, yes. In you, I sense, how can I put it, unusual potential. I very much look forward to seeing how you carry that onwards. Thank you, Your Excellency. It is time to deliver the final verdict. I hereby find the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, not guilty. We did it. My man's still in that pose. This court is now adjourned. What a day it's been. Damn, it's only 2 p.m. still? I can't believe it. I can't believe what's happened. I made it. I defended myself and made it through that horrendous trial. Ryunosuke, you finally pulled it off. Congratulations. Well, I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you, Kazuma. Ha 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 ha. No, it was a pleasure to watch you work. So you owe me an extra large sukiyaki from the place on Yume University Street, don't forget. Good afternoon. All your hard work has certainly paid off. Congratulations to both of you for proving Naruhodo-san's innocence. Our trusty judicial assistant. You worked hard for that result too, you know. Oh no, I didn't do anything. Thank you so much. If we hadn't had that research report of Miss Brett's, I don't know how things would have turned out. Well, I do, and it wouldn't have been great. Your kind words really should be for my father. I was simply doing as he asked. It was his idea for me to go to the university and investigate. Your father? Ah, yes, of course. Forgive me, yeah. Speaking of Mikotoba. Ah, there you are. Naruhodo, you did an excellent job. Thank you, Professor. Oh, no, it was I who should be thanking you. After all, your efforts exposed the true criminal that took the life of my good friend. Good friend? Oh, yes, you mentioned that before. It was you who actually invited Dr. Wilson to Yume University, wasn't it? Yes, that's right. Professor Mikotoba studied overseas himself. He went to study forensic medicine in Great Britain. Presumably that's when you met Dr. Wilson. Exactly. In those days, we worked together in the same hospital. Oh, you worked together? I've never heard you mention that before. Well, it was a long time ago now. Besides, it's your turn, Asogi. Great Britain is a magnificent country. It leads the world. In science, medicine, engineering, culture, and of course, in law. Watch and learn, my boy. See what's happening in the world's largest melting pot. I will. I'll learn all that I can. I swear on this, the spirit of the Asogi clan. You're not taking that sword to Great Britain, are you? Of course I am. A Japanese man's katana is his soul. The blade shows where I need to go. and cuts down anything that's in my way. Yes, I've definitely seen how sharp it is already with my own eyes. That reminds me. What's happened to the woman? To Jezebel Brett, I mean. After all, she's guilty of murder. Ah, yes, her. It's not easy to tell you this, but... What do you mean? Surely she's going to face trial herself now. She's the true culprit. No, she's not. She will be leaving Japan in the very near future. For Shanghai. What? Shanghai? Jezebel Brett will not appear in court again in this country, I'm certain of that. What? But why not? It's a matter of consular jurisdiction. Inspector Hosonaga. It was a hard-fought battle in the courtroom today, very impressive to watch. I must congratulate, but what's all this about consular jurisdiction? We cannot try this particular foreigner for crimes here in Japan. What? We can't try her? But then who's going to bring her to justice? A British consular court will hear her case somewhere far away where our voices can't be heard. But why a consular court? Professor, I simply don't understand. I thought consular courts were a thing of the past now that we signed the Friendship Treaty. Yes, in normal circumstances, you're right. Then so long as this is not a serious incident of a highly political nature to our respective governments. They can't invoke a consular court just like that. Oh, can't they? Yes, she's a student, but it doesn't justify our governments making secret agreements about her fate, does it? Something strange is going on. So Miss Brett can't be held accountable for her actions here in Japan. I'm afraid that for the young student, today's trial was nothing more than a game all along. There was never any danger of comeuppance for her. I don't believe it. I very easily believe it. The British government's Foreign Affairs Ministry has demanded that we hand over custody of Miss Brett. They're obviously taking this case of a foreign student committing murder very seriously. But it's all going to change from now on. We can make it change. This is a time of great turmoil, this new era heralded by the start of the 20th century. One day, I have no doubt, that woman will receive the judgment she deserves. Yes, change is coming, and we're the ones driving it. Well, I think that's enough seriousness for now. This evening calls for a celebratory drink. But Professor... You're right. This is no time for gloomy faces. We should be celebrating Ryunosuke's non-guilty verdict. Let's start having some fun. In that case, might I suggest the Carnival? As the head waiter, I should be delighted to provide you with ample food and drink. You're a detective, Hosonaga-san, aren't you? Let's not worry about details for now. To Le Carnival. Will you accompany us, Professor? Of course! Le Carnival's food is second to none. I shall go and attend to the paperwork for Naruhata-san's release. Oh yes, thank you. So Jezebel Brett won't be tried here. I suppose that means I'll never know. I'll never find out why she killed Dr. Wilson. I was wondering this. Kazuma. Yes, Ryunosuke. I just wanted to say thanks again, that's all. You really saved my skin today. Ha, 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 ha. I didn't do a thing. You were the lawyer in there, weren't you? That defense was all your own work. Your skills made the difference, though. One day, I bet you'll be the best lawyer in the world. I'm not so sure about that. To be honest, something kept occurring to me over and over again during that trial. I couldn't help thinking that maybe you're the one destined to become a great lawyer, not me. What? Come on, be serious. If I helped you today, I was only right at the very start of the trial. But you have a natural talent for it, for being a defense lawyer, I mean. Oh, no, not me. All that tense verbal combat, I never want to go through it again. I just did what you told me to do, that's all, because I knew I could trust you. That's the point. Sorry. What do you mean, that's the point? Listen, Ryu. Do you know what the most crucial weapon is that any lawyer needs in order to win? Knowledge of the law? No, the ability to believe. I feel like you might need to know something about the law. To believe what? A defense lawyer has to fight for his clients. He has to believe in them at all times. Like you believed in me when I said I didn't do it. I'm human, just like you. I don't have some superhuman ability to know the truth. But you have to make a choice about what to believe and stick to it when you're defending someone. Sometimes in the courtroom you can really be backed into a corner. But being able to remain faithful to what you chose to believe in even then, well, that's not something that anyone can do. It takes a special kind of person. Believing in your client. Just look at today's trial. I'm a student lawyer with precious little real experience, but you never stopped believing in me. Well, you face seemingly hopeless situations time and time again, but you never stopped looking for the truth. And in the end, you found it, through your own efforts, and because you never stopped believing in me. Thanks, Kazuma. There's something I want to ask you, actually, Ryunosuke. Well, it's a favor, really. Something very important to me. It sounds serious. What is? Ah, you're still here, are you? Oh, Inspector Hosonaga. I've arranged for some rickshaws for us. Let's go. Thank you. We'll be right there. Let's pick up this conversation again later. We should be celebrating right now. Your first court victory. And your study tour to Great Britain, don't forget. Ah, yes, that too. So how do we end up in England? So my very first trial came to an end. Kazuma. Professor Mikotoba. Susata-san, who acted as my assistant. Inspector Hosonaga, who didn't really play much of a part, but still. It was because of the help and support of all these people that I managed to get through that trial. But more importantly, Kazuma hadn't yet managed to ask his favor of me. Little did I realize just how much it would change my life. Whew, well, that's a fine day's work there, lads.